BPX TV réseau.
À tout réseau lié interconnecté à travers le monde là, à présenter une série de débats dans le cadre élection.
Élection News. BPX TV réseau.
Une équipe reporter, présentateur, qui a passé candidat dans bon laye pour connaître qui moun yo ye, plan ak vision yo pour communauté. Un seul réseau, une seule équipe.
BPX TV réseau, référence. Salut chers téléspectateurs, c'est un plaisir pour moi d'être avec vous. BPX TV réseau, l'espoir de la culture haïtienne. Notez bien que nous en vivons en City Chapelle, côté que pour gagner un forum et pour parti démocrate aux États-Unis et en pile haïtien et pour voter pour l'élection ça va faire là. City notre Miami gagne 4 postulants pour l'élection notre Miami par exemple magistrat Alex Desulmé et Daphne Campbell et Dr Medina et Dr Naomi Esther Blum. Mounsayo, c'est eux-mêmes qui vont courir pour City, notre Miami, pour magistrat. Eh bien, le forum ça va le faire là, c'est eux-mêmes qui vont présenter là. Mais la seule chose que moi, uniquement, deux qui vont entrer là, c'est Dr Medina avec Dr Naomi Blum qui va présenter, qui va participer seulement dans le forum. Jusqu'à présent, il est encore tôt, moi là, et depuis 6h10, et il a commencé actuellement là, 6h20, et beaucoup nous présenter, mais quand même, nous allons faire meilleur de nous-mêmes pour BPX TV réseau, c'est l'espoir de la culture haïtienne, pour nous garder comme activité. Notez bien toute activité, ça va supposer gagner en pile, moun déplacé vinadal. Jusqu'à présent, tout, nous pas remarqué en pile électeurs officiels, l'autre électoral qui l'a donné, l'autre monde et qui est involvé dans la politique de la communauté viennent participer là-dedans. Moi, quand là, moi, on Tito Francis qui est entré comme monde qui a une activité politique, moi, je fais entrer là, mais monsieur le téléphone, il est capable de parler avec nous, mais quand même, je souligne que monsieur présent là-bas. Mais moi-même, personnellement, étant Jean-Sony Zulérion, disponible en forme propriétaire BPX TV réseau, et Ronnie pas porter le bien, moi je viens faire travail là pour lui. Dans ce qui ça fait la communauté, moi je viens garder comme activité. Et bien nous allons garder l'activité parce que nous allons un challenge de questions, on va le poser avec deux candidats. Moi qui présent là actuellement c'est Dr Medina avec Dr Esther Naomi Blum. Point par point, minute par minute, nous allons gagner activité ensemble avec nous, avec votre serviteur, soyez bien la forme. Enjoy!
Do you have to support small businesses and encourage entrepreneurship in North Miami?
Thank you for that question. My first plan is actually creating programs that allow new startups into the city, right? Incentivizing those who would like to do business in the city of North Miami to come in by giving them seed, startup money in order to do so, number one. Number two, I would love the opportunity to assess those that are currently in the city who have businesses in the city and identify how they would like to expand their business and scale their business. Through that assessment, we will be able to identify who among our small businesses are ready for expansion, and then we actually partner with them to do that. There's no way that we are going to build a thriving city without small businesses, because they're the ones who are offering the jobs in our city. They're the ones who are giving summer programs to our youth. So we need to ensure that we are giving, number one, they know about the resources, right? And number two, they have access to the resources. As a small business owner myself, I find it absurd. I find it absurd that the city of North Miami does not actually actively go out and tell the small businesses what is available. So workshops is something that I am going to work diligently to put in place on a monthly basis or quarterly to just inform what is available, how can you get it, and what do you need in order to get it. Thank you.
Dr. Medina?
So small businesses, it runs 70% of the revenues of the city. Small business is something that is very dear to me. I've been working with the North Miami Chamber of Commerce, the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce, and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to bring businesses to the city. once they get them in, we promote them, we do a commercial for them, we do a cut-ribbon inauguration, and you know, we have 3 right now that we're doing that for. We have a lady that just opened a gymnastic business which caters to the people who work on the chips, on the, you know, the high end of the rope. And it's in North Miami, that business, and we promoted it, and it's there, and it's very successful. And we have new owners in 3 other businesses, including El Kiosco, and 3 Pounds Cafe, and
30 seconds.
And so, you know, businesses, but we have to attract high-end businesses, you know, that they pay well. So in order to do that, I have talked to FIU to start programs, you know, that will address that need, the need of bringing high-end jobs. So I've been in talks with FIU for a while for that.
I know we spoke about businesses, but now I want to dive into employment opportunities. So how will you work to increase employment opportunities for residents, particularly in underserved communities?
So when it comes to employment opportunities, obviously the city is not the person to employ. We have to create opportunities for small businesses to be able to employ. And so I think that right now in the city of North Miami, giving opportunities to small businesses so that they can actually have the money to cover payroll. As a small business owner, myself, I know that if there is a limited cash flow, it's very difficult for that person to say, you know what, I'm going to employ 2, 3, 4 people throughout the year. But if the city is able to actually help them scale their business, multiply their services, whether they go from 2 to 3 services, or whether they go from 1 product to 3 to 4 products, that would open the door for them to actually be able to employ more individuals living in the city of North Miami.
Creating employment is something that I have done all my life. You know, since I started working, cutting the grass of my neighbors when I was in 4th grade. So you have to be very creative. So for example, when I was a correctional counselor in Rikers Island in New York City, they wanted me to train the kids so they can flip burgers and fold clothes, you know, in a dry cleaner. That was the only 2 options available in Utah. But you're asking me to ask these kids that are making $200,000 a year to work for minimum wage. That's not going to work. So what I did is that the kids are already taking a lot of risk selling drugs. They are in danger every day that they go to the street. So I created a program that was of deep sea diving. So they need deep sea divers, and the starting salary of a deep sea diver in any of the towers to extract petroleum and natural gas in the northern seas in England. You know, they pay $250,000. So that's a way that I created an incentive for kids that were very brilliant and entrepreneurs to get out of the life of crime and get into a life of being productive. The same thing can be done in North Miami, bringing, for example, an academy to FIU or a school where we train the next generation of astronauts for the Space Force. And I'm in talks with FIU about that. I am very interested in them creating a curriculum for Space Force here in North Miami.
Question in our general section. So I know I had a conversation with Dr. Medina. We were talking about farming. So leading into sustainability, what are some initiatives that you will promote to ensure that North Miami develops sustainability and protects its natural resources? And that can be when it comes to food, that can be tied in regards to energy generation. What type of initiatives do you have?
North Miami has a huge amount of wind. If you go to any of the towers in the city, but particularly the ones on the bay, and you go to their penthouses, you can notice that you can just put a wind turbine, not the one with propellers, but the more modern ones. And with that alone, we can generate enough electricity for several areas of the city. We have a lot of wind in the city, so that's something we can explore. But We don't have, there are buildings that are farms that are producing produce all over the country. We don't have anything like that here. We're not producing anything to the best of my knowledge. As far as food, nothing. So having into consideration that our Costco is one of the highest sales and producer of taxes for our city, we can start producing, you know, incentivizing small farmers. And farmers can be agro-farmers, you know, with water, and just create a building and they can grow. The other problem we have is that we don't have parks. You know where our park is in North Miami? Olita Park. That's the park for everybody. There's not a park in my neighborhood. From the only park that we have in where I live is the one on 123rd, you know, close to the bridge to cross. That's it, a small, tiny, puny park. We don't have a park because they took all our parks and built something on them and send them and a park, Olita Park, that nobody uses. We're supposed to have a park every 300 feet, and we don't even have one in all downtown North Miami.
Thank you so very much for the question. In 2022, I ran for Commissioner of Agriculture for the entire state of Florida. And although I won the primary, I was not able to win the general election. I have taken so much away from that run. And one of the things that I've taken away from running for Commissioner of Agriculture is the fact that food scarcity is a huge problem in our communities. And individuals are literally having to go without. Right? And in the state of Florida, that should not be. One of the things that I wanted to champion throughout the entire state is actually giving people the opportunity to plant their own fruits and vegetables. Being Haitian American, that is something that I know that a lot of Caribbean people would love an opportunity to do, but the question is, how do I do it? How do I start? What should I plant? And as mayor, one of my initiatives will be along those lines of giving those who have the opportunity to plant in their own backyards the fruits and vegetables that they would like to plant, because these are the fruits and vegetables that their families would consume. If anything like COVID was to ever happen again, we would never want to know that there are families going without, or children are going to bed hungry. And the only way for us to build sustainability is for us to plant our own fruits and vegetables. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. 22, 55% African American, about 26% Hispanic, and about 9% white, and then the rest is mixed or two races. So taking that into consideration, go ahead and respond. Either or, it doesn't matter which candidate.
It's important to me to make sure that everybody is represented. But it's not only representation what I seek, it's that if you get a position in the city of North Miami, it is my goal that you got that position either in a board or as an employee of the city, that you're the best person for that job. Because the way it is now, you don't know. You know, and that's a problem not only for the city, but for the person who gets the job, because they say, well, you got that job because you're Latino, like they did to me in New York. So yeah, but no, I was there at 5 in the morning and I left at 11 at night. That's why I got the job. But it doesn't matter. You know, it's always open the door forward. You know, you need to be a good worker. It's very important that you're proud of you do and you're the best. That they put you there because you were the best. I don't care if you come from the moon. If you're the best, that's your job.
So when you talk about inclusivity and ensuring that all those who are residents in the city of North Miami actually represent the staff, represent the directors at City Hall. So we have to be intentional about it. I have worked for several Fortune 500 companies. My most recent employer was Bank of America. When you talk about your staff represents the community where the local branch is. And so as a banking center manager, if I have to hire 10 individuals and my community is 50% African American, 20% white, and 30% Hispanic, that means that my staff would be 50, 20, and 30, right? This is how you hire. It begins with the hiring. If you're not scouting or recruiting those that represent the community so that you can have representation, you're just going to hire those that actually submit an application. And so for me, it starts with recruitment, number one, and number two, ensuring that we know the demographics, which is right now, as you stated, 56, actually 32 with Hispanics, and 20-something with Caucasians. And so when we are hiring, we have to now begin to recruit those who actually represent that community to serve. Thank you.
Once you get in your position, what are some different organizations that you would collaborate with within the city that kind of coordinate with some of the different topics that we talked about, housing, jobs, etc.?
Well, 8 years ago, I ran for mayor. I only ran for 2 weeks, just to make the point that, you know, a Latino could be mayor of the city. So I only won in one district, which was in San Souci, and I won in the synagogue in that particular area. So I want to thank the Jewish people that voted for me, and I've been attending service there for 8 years now. I was ordered as a former clergy trainee, you know, for the Catholic Church to protect the Jews, to make sure that I don't interfere with their faith, to respect that they have a special relationship with God, and not to try to convert them. And I've been doing that for 8 years. You know, I go to the 2 synagogues, but I also go to many other parishes, and all of us, we're seeing a problem. And the problem is that kid that just shot former President Trump. He's my target. These are the people that we need to go and help. 20-year-old kids, and kids that have no future, that this kid works in a nursing home. Nobody was taking care of him. He was bullied every day. He was abused, and look what he did. Like him, all the other massive shooters except for one, and they are not revealing their gender yet, or her gender, are kids that are neighbors. So my focus is to bring help to the kids from 15 to 25 to make them be proud of being a man and be able to be of service to the community.
In the city of North Miami, I would love to take the opportunity to do a survey, identify the organizations that are working in the city right now, identify the service that they are giving to the residents in the city, and then finding out how they want to serve and work alongside us. I think some of the times in North Miami, we continue to go to the same organization, never really taking an assessment of what we have. So that would be my first step, assessing who are the organizations in the city. That includes churches, Lawyers Association, Nursing Association, Chamber of Commerce that was mentioned so many times, social services, and then identifying how they would like to collaborate with the city and giving them those opportunities to collaborate with the city. Last but not least, when it comes to social services, I truly believe that the city of North Miami should put a mental health program in place where individuals who cannot afford to get assistance, individuals who cannot afford to get counseling, families who cannot afford to get counseling, has service providers within the city that are willing to serve them at a low cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Going back to workforce development, as far as job training is concerned, what programs do you propose to improve job training and workforce development in North Miami?
So North Miami High School has an adult program that is funded by the city. And right now, with the influx of new individuals coming into the city of North Miami, this program right now is underfunded. So one of the things that I would do is to ensure that we assess how many students, adult students, the program is currently servicing, and identify what is their capacity to scale them up and provide additional resources for them to do so. Once we do that, then we can assess the certification programs that they currently provide and identify new programs that we can bring into the after-school program so that the adults can actually gain some kind of skill that they can actually put into a good job that they can live above minimum wage and take care of their family. I think that what we already have, we can bolster. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's ensure that that program is functioning to maximum capacity and that every certification program that exists that we can house there is available for adult learners. Thank you.
Development is something that is on the city, is coming, and it's not going to stop. It's not, I don't like development that is not organized and it's not conducted or serving better the community, but it's coming and there is nothing anybody can do to stop it. I have read every book you can think of, and I'll be more successful at stopping the train than stopping developers. That being said, one of our developers, which is a related company, they open a program to teach construction skills to students at North Miami, at the North Miami MDC, Miami-Dade College. So there is a Miami-Dade College in North Miami, and I spoke with the people related to having 2 buildings under construction, and they're willing to open the program also in North Miami. These are highly skilled jobs in electricians, plumbers, alarm installers. You know, those alarms, you have to be certified, and you can find anybody, because I have several friends that have buildings, and they can find anybody who's certified, you know, to operate these programs. These are highly skilled programs that take from 6 months to a year, and then if they get the license, they make $100,000 to $200,000 a year.
All right, we are going to go into one of our last sections, which is safety. And I'm going to start with emergency preparedness. So we are in hurricane season right now, as you know. Thankfully, we have not been hit yet, okay? But we will eventually get hit. And the question is, what will we do when that happens? So how will you enhance North Miami's preparedness and natural disasters?
So, if you remember when I told you that one of the jobs I had was in a family shelter with American Red Cross. So that happened when President Reagan cut housing, and a lot of homeless people, families in New York became homeless. So, but before that, I was a member of a disaster action team, and I was an ESW, who's a superintendent of shelters, which there was only 4 of us in the United States at that point, and I was the one on the northeast of the country. So at that, we were put in an emergency, we could put a shelter who would cater to 5,000 people within 24 hours in the continental United States and 48 hours anywhere in the world. So I have at least 20 commendations for my job of disasters in Oklahoma with the tornadoes, and here in the Caribbean, with the hurricanes.
30 seconds.
And so the city of North Miami is a disaster. They don't have any. The person who's in charge of the disaster management is new. He doesn't know anything, and the proof is on what happened in the last floods. 3 days before, they should start cleaning and taking care of the
10 seconds.
problem areas of the city, and they didn't do nothing. 3 days later, they were giving sandbags to the people after their houses were flooded. Disaster.
So as it relates to emergency preparedness program for the city of North Miami, immediately within my first 90 days, I will identify a director for that program. I believe that the reason we saw the issues that we did see with the recent flooding is because, as already stated, the person is new and the person does not have industry knowledge of how or what has happened in the city of North Miami. I truly believe that amongst the current staff, there is someone who has the skill set, who has the experience, and who has the know-how to lead that department with the right certifications. That's number one. Number two, I think that when you have an emergency prepared program, the community should be also involved. The community should know about it. We should actually have emergency preparedness meetings where if in case of an emergency, this is what we do, this is where we go. Dr. Medina just mentioned, it was on the news that the flood is coming, that it was going to be the worst that we've ever seen, and sandbags were given after the fact. Clearly, we did not have a plan in place. Had we had a plan in place, those who needed sandbags would have had access to sandbags before the flooding actually came to mitigate a lot of the structural damage that people currently have. So in short, it's not just having a department, but it's having the right person running the department efficiently and effectively. And I truly believe that part of the issue right now is that we do not have someone with that knowledge. Thank you.
What measures will you take to ensure that public spaces in North Miami are safe and accessible for all residents? And are there any additional spaces that you would like to add to the city, whether it's bike lanes, walking paths, parks, whatever that may be?
We don't have too much public space in North Miami. I'm thinking about there is a green area. I cannot call it public. There is a green area on the north side of Villa Maria, south side of Villa Maria. It's a couple of acres, you know, and it's green, and it doesn't have any facility whatsoever. It was an agreement that Villa Maria, for some, you know, extra floors and goodies, you know, they promised to have it as a green space for the residents of North Miami. So, like 2 years ago, they came to our board, and they came with the story that they promised that this was going to be for the residents, but they felt, you know, they were trying to tell us that it was their residents. And their residents, and they start putting a fence to border. So I immediately mobilized the community. It was raining, the mayor came, and the permit was flawed, and they had to fill up their fence, and we still have the green space. But it's a fight. It's a fight because developers want all the green spaces.
Thank you so very much for that question. You know, when it comes to the city of North Miami, my heart is totally broken when it comes to the parks. I have a 7-year-old son. If I want to take AB to the park right now, and I cannot identify a decent park that I can go, and if he needs to use the restroom, he's going to find that. If he needs water while he's running up and down, he will find that. We should be ashamed of ourselves. This city has a budget of $187 million a year, and parents cannot find a decent park, while we are finding development east, west, north, and south. And so one of the very things that I will do is to actually enhance the current parks, specifically Enchanted Park. Enchanted Park is actually a historic park. It's something that we should actually be investing in because it's part of our legacy as the city of North Miami. And that takes state funding and probably even federal funding. We need a leader in the city of North Miami that is going to prioritize parks, prioritize children, prioritize green spaces, and then we will see a change in the landscape. Thank you.
Naomi, to answer this one first. With all this green space that we would like to have, we want to make sure that they're safe, right? So what specific strategies do you propose to reduce crime in the city of North Miami?
So I truly believe in community policing. I believe in having community law enforcement from within the community. There are several cities, surrounding cities, that actually have programs where we recruit cops right from our community. And I think that actually will have a great impact in our city if we went with that model. That's number one. Number two, we simply need to hire more cops. We need to hire more cops. We need to give them better, higher level of equipment and technology in in order for them to do their job. If you are looking for safety and there are some basic things that we don't have in the city, for example, recently there's a community within the city that is going to put technology that once you go through their gates, they capture your license plate and it's being observed by law enforcement that is actually watching as people are going in and out. I don't think that should just be for one community. I think that should be for the entire city. And so when it comes to safety, I truly believe investing more money into the police department is where it's at. Thank you.
As a former correctional person, you know, I am part of law enforcement, so I'm very close to the police. It is hard, you know, to hire police officers when the day that they're honoring the fallen officers of the city, nobody from our government was there, no one. It was only me. So the 3 police officers were shot, 2 of them shot, and the other one, you know, died in a car accident. And their families were there, and nobody from the city was there. Not a single person that worked for the city of North Miami was there. It was 2 of us, you know, basically, and yeah, because I don't count Andrew Pierre, but the other 2 we were there. So this is a problem. Now, I have talked to police officers, former administrators, former chiefs, and I propose to them if we can give them like a tuition in colleges so they can finish their degrees, or you know, any kind of incentive, housing, and all of them, they want only one thing, which is money. They don't care about retirement, they don't care about ear pieces when they get old, or dental. They just want money. And the city is allowing them to get $85 for off-duty jobs, which is where they make the money, and the city takes $10 from that, which is an abuse. So that immediately will go, and they'll make as much money as the market allows them as off-duty police officers, which is where they make the real money.
So we have about 20 minutes left of questions. I am going to open up the floor now to anybody that would like to answer a question. We have mics, I believe, right here that can be brought to you so that you can ask a question. And if all questions have been exhausted, then I will continue with the questions I have left over. Yes, sir.
499 Biscayne Boulevard, 20+ year resident in the beautiful city of North Miami. First time that I want to see change in the city, so I have 3 questions for both of you. Are you a politician? Both of you.
I'm not a politician.
Okay.
I'm a public servant.
How long you are being involved with the city in any sense?
15 years, actively 9.
I've been a resident for 10 years. I've been serving on the 5 boards for the last 3.5 years.
They say first impression is very important. So I met Miss Naomi knocking doors and running around. And I met you today, as you're coming today, I didn't know that you are Dr. Hector Medina. And the question is, you grumpy? Like you have like when you walk inside, it's my first impression. You can be like a pushing, like it's late, like you're a nice guy, like you are good for the people, good for the position. You have a good character, patient to talk to people. I don't know you, and I would like to meet you a little bit more.
I am great with people.
All right.
In a family shelter, those people are about to kill you if you make a mistake. And I work in maximum security on Rikers Island. I can read people.
Okay.
I am very, very fair on my decisions. When there was a riot on Rikers Island and I was alone, it was the Nazis the one who protected me from getting killed. So yeah, I'm great with people, and they're very grateful because I give them everything I have. I don't care if you deserve to be helped. That's none of my business. My business is to help you. If you're there for your doings or because you're guilty of something, that's none of my business. My business is to help you. Just recently, this lady called me at 4:30 in the morning that her son was beating her up. I go there at 6 in the morning and the kid doesn't want me to see. It's a 45-year-old kid who's been in jail 25 years of his 45 years of life. And he pulled a gun on me and I had to tell the kid, what are you doing? You're a convicted felon. you're gonna go to jail for this. You're not gonna kill me. So I walk him back. So, you know, I've been doing this, helping people since I can't remember, because my mother was an educator.
Thank you.
And she made me do that.
I have 4 kids in the city, 3, 5, 14, and 17. And I really appreciate it if they're looking forward to fix their parks in the North Miami area. Thank you so much for both of you and the opportunity to be here today.
That came in through our community chat, and one of the questions was, how would you address the overdevelopment? And how would you hold the commissioners responsible for ethical conduct and responsible spending?
The first question is how would we address the development? I think with 8,000 units already approved, I think at this point we need to take a moment, we need to stop, we need to assess where these units are going to be, the impact that it's going to have, and allow several of them to actually rise before we continue. Second, you mentioned, what was your second question?
How would you hold commissioners responsible for ethical conduct and responsible spending?
So earlier I mentioned that I was an executive with Bank of America. On a monthly basis and sometimes quarterly, depending on the cycle, every executive, every branch manager, every assistant manager had to take ethical training. And that is something that the banking center required, and it was mandatory. Because at the end of the day, if you're not constantly being reminded what is right, where you fall, and to identify where you have possibly made mistakes, you will find yourself tattering the fence, especially in a system where there are limited checks and balances. Number two, when it comes to wasteful spending, I'm sure this is along the lines of this is where this is going on. We have a city manager that is the CEO of the city. If any elected official is overspending or is going over their budget, that is their job to inform them that, hey, for this month or this quarter, you have surpassed your budget. And at the end of the year, when we are coming back to do rebudgeting, we should identify those that did not remain within their budget. And there should be accountability. Accountability begins with how much did you have, how much did you spend, and communicating to that person that you went over, and making it very clear to everyone that that is unacceptable. Thank you.
How would you hold commissioners responsible for ethical conduct and responsible spending?
So I've been involved with the city for many years, and I know what they do and how they do it. 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, when I ran for council person in District 2, in my proposal was to put a moratorium on development of the city. Why? Because the same lawyer who wrote all the loopholes in our code is the same lawyer that is representing the developers. So that's why you get 1.5 parking per unit or less if you use the other goodies that the city is giving. So we're going to develop, there is no stopping that. But we can bring the development we want. We don't need to beg anymore for them to come and build in our city. We have been discovered, and they're building all over. We are the last piece of land that they can do development. Like one development said, and I remember because I was one of the people of Keystone Point when they were doing the White House thing, he said, you are a bunch of political prostitutes, and of course you got thrown out. But then one developer said in the newspaper, we choose North Miami because it's the path of less resistance. So he told them that not only that they were prostitutes, but that they were cheap prostitutes. And that really shocked me when I saw that on the press. So the problem is that all the goodies are for the pet projects of the politicians who make these decisions, instead of the goodies that the developers are willing to share with the community. Instead of building 1 mile of things that we need, like sewage system, they have to, cater to the pet projects of the current politicians, which is pretty bad.
And how would you address the unethical spending? that has been going on in the city?
So when the CRA ran out of money, they made a loan. They made a loan for $50 million to a private bank in 10 seconds. Charity. I was there. It wasn't even pretty because they made promises. They overextended themselves, and that was a previous administration and the compromises that a previous mayor did. But now to pay them, because they're in contracts, they made a loan for $50 million. Every time they are in a jam, they try to make a loan or bond. I remember the bond. The bond was you know, we had to fight real hard to get the bond defeated, and we defeated the bond by 72% to 28. So by the time they figure out, and bear in mind that they removed me physically from the election booths. I was in front of the library with a camera, and that way we were able to stop them. Me and several volunteers, you know, we put people in strategic places to stop the busing of voters from Presidente, from the pill mills, and from other areas that we identified. We use exactly the same strategy.
15 seconds.
That General Montgomery used to destroy Rommel in North Africa. And that's the good thing about going to the Air Force ROTC Academy.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Doctor. Good afternoon, Ms. Naomi. My name is Daniel. I would like to have a question. If elected, what are the technological tools would you add into the police department's arsenals to fight crime better?
Naomi?
So one tool that is pretty well known, shot fire, which is basically identifying where a shot comes from in the community. Right now in the city of North Miami, although we may not have a lot of gun violence where it's prominent on the news, I believe that if we put these type of equipment in the force, it's going to actually cause individuals not to come to the city to do those type of activities. And so that's something that I know of personally that I think that we should do. Earlier I mentioned having the equipment to actually catch the tags as they come into the city and being able to identify if the car is stolen or if the person who is driving the car has a warrant out for their arrest or something of that nature.
Do you have any more questions in the audience? We've got about 5 more minutes left.
My question is, you know, I watch the meetings on the YouTube. Sometimes I'm able to go, the council meetings, and sometimes it's difficult to work with others, right? We don't always agree. This one has a different opinion. Can you tell me your strategy to work with others to be effectively, to move initiatives forward?
I have worked all my life. I've been in positions of leadership, and the only way to be a leader is not a particular person. A leader is somebody who have a team behind him who does the work, and then usually they take the credit. I'm not that kind of leader. When I enter into a new place, you know, either in a war theater or a disaster area, I always go and talk to the people who do the work, which is, in my case, sergeants or people who are supervisors. I discard the opinions of directors and people who are in charge because they don't do the job. You know?
This is probably one of the most important questions. So my name is Vanessa Cassis, and we're in the state of Florida. We have a lot of retirees, and thank you both for standing up for the community and being here. We have a lot of retirees that we need to protect. So what are you both, your initiatives to protect our elderly in terms of their real estate? For example, I'm a real estate agent and I had several clients just this year, with 6 clients in the city of North Miami reach out to me and state that they received several fines and citations for simply not removing their trash cans from the front of their house. One received a $400 fine, another received a $600 fine. Another of my clients also got a fine for having fringes from their palm tree that fell down in front of their houses. When I went and checked, there were 2 fringes So that person got charged $200. When I called the city manager and I asked the citation supervisor, why are you fining them? I understand they got a citation, they're elderly, you can see on record they are. She stated because they are repeat offenders. I asked, can you explain what repeat offenders is? What is that in your definition? How are they? She said in 2023 of February, they did not remove their trash can in timely manner. We're in 2024. So for our elderly to not have a source, they're coming to me, which I love to do and go over beyond for my job. But I said, it's hard as an agent, as residents, why at my age would I want to come back to North Miami and live here when you're harassing our elderly? Where is there resources, where can they go to be heard? Because I'm actually going with her tomorrow for an appeal, and she doesn't know what to say, and she's frantic, and she's 74 years old.
Thank you so very much for that question. One of the major issues that I find in the city of North Miami is the fact that we do not have a senior citizen center. And so had we had a senior citizen center, when these issues come up, they would actually have a place to say, hey, this is what happened to me, and this is the fee that I have been assessed, and then you would have the director of that center connecting with the department, finding a way to basically turn over that citation. So I think that what you're talking about is not just with the seniors, it's just North Miami on a whole. We don't respect, we don't honor, we don't value one another. And because we have this lack of disrespect and lack of value for those that are actually paying taxes here, the senior citizens are getting the brunt of it because they're a vulnerable population. As your next mayor, you will have someone in place that not only has a senior citizen center, but ensure that that senior citizen center is connected to every level of government within the city, and to ensure that our seniors are protected, and when they are being foolishly fined, that those fines are overturned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I am a senior citizen as of April 6th last month, a couple of months ago. So, you know, we have to enforce the ordinance, but in a human way. If we have a senior citizen that requires assistance, we have to create some kind of association either with our vendors, you know, in this case West Pro. I mean, if they know they have a senior citizen and they know the people they serve, just put the garbage can, whatever, you know, it's not on the way. It's not a big deal. We just perhaps need to increase, give it an incentive, you know, $1 or $2 more on their salary, make them more human. We have the resources right there. I also would love to have a group of young people in the churches, from the churches or the Boy Scouts, or, you know, anybody who's able to help seniors. They need, for a group of 20 people, like they used to do in Oklahoma, 20 kids from a church came, and when they left, the house was painted and clean, and, you know, and the grass was done.
Question period. We will now go into closing and give both of our candidates an opportunity to make some closing remarks. So I'm going to give each of you, let's do 3 minutes.
Thank
3
you,
minutes
Kevin.
each to make closing remarks. Dr. Manita, since you're already talking.
That's a former mayor.
The reason I'm running, and I've been running, you know, this is my 4th campaign, so I have a lot of experience in this. I have the tools, I have professionals working for me, coaches, and people who know what they're doing. But the main reason is because our city is at a tipping point. You know, we are on top of a hill, and we can fall back, and the city will be, which may not be such a bad thing, taken over by the state, which is a real possibility. People may even go to jail. You know, things are pretty bad in the city, and there is a lot of things that are in the closet, you know. But the moment I am able to, with the assistance of the city manager, you know, I want to do, I need to know if I have money, where the money is, and how much money I have to implement things. So we have to do an audit a big audit, an expensive audit that will tell me where the money went. There's nothing I can do about the money that is gone. But moving forward, you know, we would use our money wisely. I'm retired, you know, I don't need any money from the city. You know, I am here to serve the community. I've been a public servant. Actually, I'm the only person who's been trained to be a servant in the current crop of candidates. I was trained to be a deacon of the Catholic Church, and that word comes from the word diakos, from the ancient Greek, and diakos means only servant. So a lot of men that were successful, that was in Oklahoma, the church grabbed us, you know, and tell us you need to serve, and we're going to teach you how to serve. And I told them, listen, I'm not you guy. I'm not exactly a religious person or nothing like that, but they teach me how to serve. They teach me the value of your word and how to don't break the rules, you know, and the deacons will not even speed or go into a yellow light. They work exactly on the line of truth, and you know, that's what we do. You know, I try not to break any rules. Anything that looks even questionable, you know, I avoid.
1 minute.
I was appointed to be in one of the boards, and I said no because I'm running for mayor, and that would be a conflict of interest. You know, and this is my opinion. You know, there are laws that stipulate that you cannot, if you are working for a city, you cannot, you know, you have to take a leave of absence, and if elected, you have to resign. So the law doesn't apply to the boards, but this is a question for lawyers to decide, because actually the board members get paid $20 per you know, session. So if they're not working for the city, if they're working or not working, it's a question for lawyers.
20 seconds.
But me, I don't break rules. It is unethical, in my opinion, to serve in boards and to run for political office.
Thank you so very much for every single one of you that took time out of your busy schedules to be here today. My name is Naomi Esther Blemire, and I'm your candidate for mayor of the city of North Miami. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an accountant. I recently earned a master's in public administration here at Barry University. I am a licensed minister. As we conclude this inaugural forum, I want to address the issue of leadership and presence. Out of 4 candidates, only 2 of us are here today. This absence speaks volumes. Being a leader means showing up, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's challenging. Our city, its residents, and our small business owners deserve leaders who are committed, present, and ready to tackle the issues head on. You can count on me on day 1 as your elected mayor. I will advocate and fight for the change that we need. My priorities will include working on a thriving and resilient North Miami for all of us, with housing affordability, infrastructure upgrades, business startups and expansions, youth development and programming, community policing and safety, park revitalization. I understand the struggles of our community, and I'm dedicated to facilitating progress and prosperity for all of our residents. Together, we can build a North Miami where our children can thrive, our businesses can flourish, and our community can grow stronger. Your support is crucial, and I am here, I am ready, and I'm going to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have now come to the end of our question and answer session. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, and we all do as well, thank you so much for coming and really spending time with us, going over some of your initiatives and letting us know who you are so that we can have a better idea of basically who we're voting for when it comes in November. So can everybody just stand up and give these guys a hand clap, please? Naomi and Dr. Esther Blemire. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Natalie now.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching me in this beautiful channel of my friend. My name is Hector Medina. I'm a medical doctor. I'm retired, and I was here on a debate today, but only Ms. Blemure and I show up. We have the traveling mayor as usual, and Ms. Campbell didn't show up, but we'll do better in the next debate, hopefully, and it was very engaging. Because of the traffic situation and the construction, a lot of people didn't show up, but I'm very happy with the 4 or 5 people that show up, you know, that they have good questions, and I am very happy to answer them. It was very successful as far as I can tell. I was able to tell stories of my life, and I really appreciate the time in this church. This is a young church that requires our help. Young people need to find their points and work in a more spiritual way. You know, if church or yoga or whatever it is that you need to do, but we need to be more faithful to the rules and regulations and the way of life that we have to pursue. Life is a gift, and we need to appreciate it and serve our communities to the best of our ability. Thank you so much, and good night.
Salut tout le monde qui branché, c'est Naomi Esther Blemure, candidat pour magistrat ville North Miami. Jodi a nous te gagné premier forum nous là dans Vibe City Chapel, côté que dans 4 candidats yo, c'est 2 seulement qui étaient présents pour forum ça. Et dans forum ça nous te abordé plusieurs sujets sur développement ville sur economic development ville éducation ti moun yo dans ville qui gens que pour nous porter job dans ville et je pense que c'était une conversation qui était très importante dans premier forum nous côté que pour nous te mettre bagay ça yo à la base côté que peuple là te ka di nous qui ça yo besoin. Non, moi, c'est Naomi Esther Blemure. Je couru pour magistrat ville North Miami parce que le changement que nous besoin dans North Miami, il n'est pas qu'attendre encore. Et nous voyons que jeudi, pendant 4 candidats, c'est 2 seulement qui viennent que ou déjà ouais qui genre mentalité North Miami c'est que même si yo dit yo leader pas bouche, mais yo pas leader dans présence, yo pas leader pour yo venir pour yo travail, pour yo faire travail là, yo pas là. Donc moi même m'a dit tout peuple là allez sur le website naomiblemure.com, allez sur YouTube, allez sur Instagram avec tout TikTok, ou joindre plateforme, ou joindre tout ça que moi-même moi paré pour me faire pour notre ville là. 2024 là sont année de histoire liée. C'est femmes noires qui fait histoire non seulement pas seulement dans North Miami, mais dans toutes aux États-Unis. Donc moi dis toute femme levez camper, nous pral travailler dans North Miami, nous pral assurer que nous quittons un legacy pour petite nous, à petite nous pour demain yo ka di nous t'es passé là. Sonny moi pas peur du tout parce que moi là avec nous m'gen 10 ans depuis là avec nous, m'gen 3 ans et demi depuis m'a servi dans dans ville là, c'est tout le monde déjà connaît qui est Naomi Blemure et tout le monde déjà connaît que le Naomi Blemure présente tête li n'a joindre résultat. Donc encore c'est vraiment un plaisir pour nous te voir là parce que médias haïtiens nous avons responsabilité, nous avons travail pour nous faire. Le forum ça yo, mais malgré c'est pas un haïtien qui a fait li, nous devons venir, nous devons présent parce que c'est responsabilité nous pour nous porter information au peuple là pour peuple là qui a choisi et choisi bien. Encore c'est Naomi Esther Blemure, candidat pour magistrat ville North Miami. Merci beaucoup.
C'est un devoir pour moi, mes chers amis, toujours présent dans toute activité qu'a fait la communauté. Nous connaissons que définitivement, et depuis au besoin de service, il faut qu'on soit présent avec nous dans la communauté, dans n'importe ce qu'a fait là, quelle que soit circonstance et obligation. Moi-même, par exemple, je suis toujours présent dans l'activité. Je veux remercier tout le monde qui a fait participation, qui a fait temps ensemble avec nous dans l'activité. Un forum qui est organisé avec 2 candidats seulement. C'est Dr Naomi Blemure et avec Dr Medina seulement qui est dans le forum. Non? Mais il y a 4 candidats et qui ont couru pour notre Miami. Il y a 2 là qui pas présenté, Daphne Campbell avec Alix Desulmé. Par contre, pour quelle raison? Parce qu'il n'y a pas pour quelle autre raison. Et puis l'autre média tout est pour présent dans l'activité d'après l'invitation qui a été faite. Eh bien, les médias n'ont pas présenté tout. Non, par contre, pour quelle raison? Pas pour quelle raison. C'est pas ça que je devine régler, je devine régler présence spam dans mes références. Non, pas M. Jean-Sonny Zulérion, votre ambassadeur de la culture haïtienne pour BPX TV Réseau. Mais qui ça qu'a fait la communauté? On n'est pas présent. moi-même de présent pour Louis-Ba. Merci à vous tous et puis à la prochaine.
BPX TV Réseau et BPX Production produit et distribué un paquet de shows à Claude Télévision Haïti ou à l'étranger, tels que Storm TV, chaîne 2, Canal Bleu, chaîne 38 USA, Haïti TV, BPX TV Réseau, all over the world, Haïti en direct et toutes plateformes réseaux sociaux. Ou t'as aimé faire une promotion, une distribution commerciale, un marketing général, pas hésiter une seconde. USA 786 642 35 35. Yo gen WhatsApp tout, BPX TV Réseau, l'espoir de la culture haïtienne. Spécial élection BPX News. BPX TV Réseau.
À tout réseau lié interconnecté à travers mon plan à présenter une série de débats dans le cadre élection.
Spécial élection News. BPX TV Réseau.
Une équipe reporter présentateur qui a passé candidat dans bon laye pour connaître qui moun yo ye, plan ak vision yo pour communauté. Un seul réseau, une seule équipe.
BPX TV Réseau, référence.